I'm Joe Abadi. It's now time for the Did You Know segment. Did You Know is brought to you by Jeff Kokoskie. If you were anywhere near motocross tracks during the 60s, 70s, or 80s, chances are you smelled the distinctive odor and castor-based bean oil. And I'll bet today that smell brings back some great memories of your youth. Castrol R30 was one of the more popular brands back in those days. But did you know how castor actually got its start? In the late 1890s, while working for the Vacuum Oil Company, which would eventually be bought out by John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company, Englishman Charles Wakefield was selling lubricants for steam engines and trains and also heavy machinery. In 1899, the Wakefield developed a mechanical lubricator that automatically oiled the reciprocating parts of a steam locomotive. The lubricator used a large reservoir and a number of small eccentric-driven pumps that delivered a precise amount of oil to the moving parts. After obtaining a patent for his lubricator, Wakefield started his own company, called it C.C. Wakefield and Company. The company not only sold the lubricators, but also a range of petroleum-based oil and greases. In the early 20th century, Wakefield took an interest in the sporty motorized contraption, namely the automobile and the airplane. And his company then began to develop lubricants for these new engines, but quickly found out that the petroleum lubricants of the day were not refined enough and were just too viscous, too cold starting, or too thin under extreme conditions. However, the petroleum industry was still in its infancy, and Wakefield realized he stood little chance in convincing the larger oil companies to modify their products. Enter castor oil. Castor oil is a type of vegetable oil pressed from beans of the castor flower that is found throughout tropical regions of the world. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans long ago recognized its medicinal and cosmetic qualities to help as a laxative, body ointment, and treatment for arthritis. But they also used it in oil lamps because of its slow burning characteristics and its unique smell. Wakefield and his researchers found that adding measured amounts of castor oil to their lubricant formulations helped high-performance engines maintain a usable viscosity throughout the engine's heat cycle from cold start to maximum output. Calling the product Wakefield Castor Motor Oil, the oil became an immediate hit among early racers seeking to get the ultimate performance out of their cars and planes. The new oil was even used as a lubricant in the engine of the first transatlantic flight in 1919. Having helped pioneer a new kind of motor oil, Charles Wakefield brought out a new method of getting customers to notice the product as well as sponsorships. The castor name appeared in this colorful green and white and red banners, as you could see here. There were flags at aviation events, auto races, and even at attempts to break land speed records, or any event really that was related to speed and endurance. By 1960, the name of the motor oil had all but eclipsed that of the company's larger-than-life founder, and so C.C. Wakefield and Company became simply Castrol Limited. Although not specifically formulated for two-stroke engines, European factory motocross racers in the 60s and 70s found that castor-based oil worked really well when they would run lean mixtures in their high-performance engines. The most famous was probably Heikki Mikkola when he campaigned in the 500cc World Motocross Circuit aboard his factory Yamaha OW in the late 1970s. Compared to petroleum-based oils, that castor oil worked very well by spreading a thin and even film over metal surfaces. Here's another picture of Heikki right here. However, the ester-based glycerin found in castor oil gives its unique smell, also forms carbon deposits when it's burned at high temperature. This wasn't necessarily an issue for factory racers because the engines were torn down between events, but it didn't find favor for the weekend racer at all. It wasn't until the companies like Klotz and Blenzoil developed purposely formulated synthetic-based oils blended with castor oil in the 70s that sweet-smelling two-stroke oil became familiar. In 1966, the Burma Oil Company bought Castrol, and in 2000, Burma Castrol was purchased by BP, formerly the British petroleum company. Today, Castrol is still part of BP and is a global leader in lubricant technology, serving customers and consumers in more than 150 countries in a variety of sectors, including automotive, marine, power sport, and industrial. I'm Joe Abadi. That's it. Did you know? Join us next week for another segment of Did You Know?